Federal Ministry of Water Resources through its policies, strategies, and programs such as the National Wash Action Plan, the Partnership for Expanded Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, the PWASH program, and the Clean Nigeria Use the Toilet campaign. The successes of these initiatives will increase access to basic water supply, currently at 70%, and safely manage water supply, that is, improve water at premises, which is at 14% nationally. Likewise, the Clean Nigeria campaign will prompt and encourage the 23% of Nigerians practicing open defecation to construct as well as use toilet facilities instead of defecating in the open, and thereby contaminating the environment and affecting the Nigerian food system. In recognition of the importance of safe food intake to the health, growth, and development of the populace, the ministry is committed to deepening its collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, and other relevant stakeholders towards the success of the series of meetings for the development of a healthy and sustainable food system for Nigeria to be showcased at the UN Food System Summit coming up later this year. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on this note, I wish all of us fruitful deliberation and look forward to the outcome of your dialogue with the expectation that it will enrich our contribution to the UN Summit. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for delivering the goodwill message on behalf of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. We have come to a very important part of this meeting this morning. We'll be calling on the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Dr. Zainab Ahmed, for her opening remarks. Before she starts, I want to say that she has been
Resident Coordinator, Mr. Edward Carlos, the representative of Bilateral Donors and Health Advisor, FCDO, Nigeria, Mr. Diego Moroso, paper presenters, honored guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I am most delighted to be with you this morning for this very crucial dialogue on the Nigeria food system in collaboration with the United Nations to raise global awareness and shape global commitments towards mobilizing food systems to address hunger, reduce diet-related diseases, and strengthen plenary health. The Secretary General of the United Nations deserves our commendation for this proactive initiative, especially its importance in urgently achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm told that the plan is for each member state to organize 3 dialogues, an inception dialogue, an exploratory dialogue, and a consolidatory dialogue. The inception dialogue, which is this event, is designed to take place at the national level, while the exploratory dialogue will be at the state level. The obvious wisdom is to make this process as inclusive and as participatory as possible. And I'm keenly interested in ensuring that this is the case. The issue of developing a sustainable food system has never been more urgent and more existential. In our case, perhaps more so than in many other countries. Why? We're faced with a population growth that exceeds growth figures handsomely. Poverty has deepened, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic fallout. Malnutrition and unhealthy dietary practices create unique threats to health and productivity for generation after generation. So it's a significant challenge to produce enough food for a rapidly growing population, especially given the changes required in modernization of farming practices, mechanization, and reduction of post-harvest losses, etc. But there are also questions around ensuring environmentally sustainable production practices, creating empowering jobs and livelihoods, and building capacities to ensure sustainable and healthy food systems. Now, these issues require expertise and experience, but also the views of those who will literally be at the receiving end of these plans. In other words, at these dialogues, we don't just want to hear only the experts. We want to hear those who are at the receiving end. In other words, those for whom all of these plans are being made, the people of the country, all across all strata of society. Now, this brings me to the matter of ensuring that these dialogues are accessible to all, meaning that they do not become, as I said, one for experts, essentially just talking shop. In my conversations with my advisors on agriculture and nutrition, I was saying to them how notoriously technical some of the material on food systems and nutrition can be. So I think our experts have to help us here if we are to convoke a truly national and inclusive dialogue on these important issues. I think first, even the 5 tracks or the 5 objectives of the dialogues need to be broken down further and more accessible language used. And secondly, we should identify the key issues by presenting simple questions that the average non-technical person can contribute to. Let me take one issue as an example. What does sustainable consumption mean? And this is one of the objectives or one of the 5 tracks. What does sustainable consumption mean? And what is its relevance in this dialogue? So, sustainable food consumption or environmentally sustainable food consumption has been defined, by, I think it was at the Oslo conference, as the use of food products that respond to basic needs and bring a better quality of life while minimizing the use of natural resources, toxic materials, and emission of waste and pollutants over the life cycle, so as not to jeopardize the needs of future generations. In other words, the food we produce and eat, how we produce and how we cook, how we eat, should be environmentally friendly, and not destroy the environment for future generations. Now that seems simple enough. Aside from the inherent difficulties of recommending dietary changes, which is habit forming, and for most people, there are tough questions about what practices make sense in a high-income country and what will make sense in a less developed country. So we know, for example, that reduction in meat consumption is recommended as environmentally friendly. But in low-income countries such as ours, where there is less than nutritionally acceptable micronutrient consumption, that is, our people eat less meat because it's costly, we actually need to make meat products cheaper. So there are also issues about how we cook. So just back to that point. So in a high income country, it may make sense to talk about reducing meat products and reducing meat consumption for environmental purposes. But in low income countries such as ours, where we find that protein micronutrients are in short supply in our diets, obviously we should be looking at increasing meat productions. Now, for me, I think that some of these issues, are nuanced, and we really need to take a closer look, especially at these dialogues, so that our conversations are reflective of the issues that concern us as a nation, as a people, and especially as a developing country. There are also issues about how we cook. So the vast majority of our people in the hinterland still use firewood, and even in urban areas, a lot of kerosene, and all of these, of course, are a no-no for environmentally friendly practices. So we must transition to gas and to LPG. And of course, this sort of transition has its own implications, has its own economic implications. But this is the direction that we must go. So these sorts of conversations are important. In other words, we cannot talk about cooking, which of course is a fundamental part of our food systems and how food finally ends up on our tables, without talking about the transition to gas, the transition to using LPG and other more environmentally friendly fuel sources. But even as we debate those issues, we must bear in mind that somewhere else, debates are going on about defunding gas projects. Debates are going on, that even gas isn't environmentally friendly enough. So we have to take all of these issues into account, especially because we are debating issues in the international community. We are contributing to a global conversation. And it's so important that the nuances of our own society, the nuances of our own situation are introduced into this conversation so that the conversation is richer, fairer, and more just for our people. I think we must also make it clear that this summit is about the entire chain, from farm to table and all that is in between, including retailers, food processors, technology providers, and financial institutions. All of these sectors are involved in this in the chain, and so they are relevant. They are relevant in this summit, and all of their views have to be brought to the table. And all of this shows the interrelatedness, and we need to demonstrate this to show the interrelatedness of each part of the chain and how the weak links affect all else. This will be an important consideration in making this dialogue as accessible and as inclusive as possible. The Inception dialogue, this dialogue, is the first in the series of dialogues. And I must commend the national convener, Mrs. Olushola and her team, all the partners and the UN agencies who have supported in organizing the series of dialogues. Your work is of great consequence because it affects us all and will determine the shape of the future. So I wish you all very, very happy and fruitful deliberations, and we're all looking forward excitedly to the results of these dialogues. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And thank you very much for reminding us that at this point we need to forget all the university terminologies and bring everything down to the level of the people that are mostly affected by changes in our food system, so that they can bring forward their own ideas as to how we can make things better and make our food systems more sustainable. At this point, I would like to ask the Honorable Minister of Finance and the others on the podium to please rise for a group photograph. So, thank you. Please be ready to join them for a group photograph. Speakers in the house, please join them.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
Anybody who is exposed can contract coronavirus, but not everybody has a fair chance of surviving the disease. Data has shown that older persons stand a higher risk of dying. Are you 55 years and above? Do you have pre-existing health conditions? Please safeguard yourself and minimize your risk. Observe all COVID-19 protocols.
If you hear of anyone with high fever, dry cough, and difficulty in breathing, please do not go near such a person, because they could be a victim of coronavirus infection. Call someone else or the NCDC to assist. Please use your prescribed medications regularly. Exercise around your home and eat well so that you can remain healthy and strong. For an older adult, to beat coronavirus is not to contract it at all.
This message is brought to you by Gerontology Association of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, and Dave Omokoro Foundation in conjunction with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Man is created to be able to make choices in life. The choices we make as Homo sapiens makes man either rational or an irrational being. Based on his choices, he is expected to be responsible for the totality of his actions and inactions. A man's lifestyle is the interest, opinions, behaviors, and behavioral orientations of the individual, group, or culture. Life is full of choices, good or bad, white or black. The various choices we make as individuals will one day catch up with us. One of those choices we make in life relates to our health. After all, it is often said, health is wealth. It suffices that our health is important and should be precious to us. However, some of our choices in life as individuals responsible for our various ways of life leaves much to be desired. While a healthy lifestyle will help promote physical fitness and leaves us energetic and at reduced risk for diseases, based on the choices we make in our daily habits, an unhealthy lifestyle exposes us to avoidable risk of varying degrees of dangers, some controllable and some fatal.
Your lifestyle can affect your health in several ways. If you're a smoker, be prepared to die early. If you're a drunkard, your liver is at stake. So if you live a good lifestyle, there's every tendency that you would live longer.
Kind of food you eat, like proteinous foods, which are very, very good for our health. Not that alone, you take in good water to flush in and to make your food digest easily.
We must be able to consider physical fitness, because people who do not, indulge in exercises, daily exercises, they most times have their life being, hampered. So on daily basis, we must be able to form the habit of, doing exercises, or one way or the other have ourselves, doing physical fitness exercises.
When you live your life, you need to balance up. You don't need to overstress and overwork yourself. Yes, you should work, but you should know the balance between work and rest, so you don't break down at a point and then you just get very useless.
What we consume, eat, drink or smoke goes a long way in determining the status of our health in the long run.
The most common for us, and I think I should start with that, is unnecessary sugar. Instead of doing that, why not opt for a healthy option like your fruit juice, freshly made, which you're sure contains nutrients. Too much alcohol is not good for the body. Cigarette already said that already. And then fats, they have saturated fats. Saturated fats are totally bad for us.
Good nutrition, daily exercise and adequate sleep are foundations for continuing good health. As important and simplistic these seems, it requires great discipline for anyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle which helps improve our general well-being.
If you are self-read, if you take your body seriously enough to be able to research by yourself, I don't think it will cost you anything. Because if you think your body is important enough and you read up on what to do at the right time and how to handle your body, it wouldn't cost you anything. But if you feel like, oh, you're too busy doing, because there's something I respect professionalism. There are some people, like I said, I'm a lifestyle doctor. This is my work. This is where I am focused on. So if you think you're too busy focusing on your own profession, that you wouldn't have the time to do that, then it would cost you something to be able to get my service. But if you really take your body seriously, it shouldn't cost you anything to read up on things to do to make yourself a better person.
Eating the right food, fruits, vegetables, stress management, and a regular medical checkup can help us to maintain a perfect or near perfect healthy living. Unfortunately, it's been discovered that most people are complacent about their lifestyle habits, and so they do the opposite of what ordinarily should help them promote and sustain a good healthy living.
Unhealthy lifestyle is actually life-threatening. It is life-threatening. Beyond the fact that it might cost your life, I think you should actually think about, a lot of people, nobody wants to die really. People want to live long. But if you want to live long, quote and unquote, how do you want to see yourself when you are like 80? Do you want to be a burden on people? Do you want to be healthy enough? Do you want to be strong enough to function properly? Because actually living a healthy lifestyle is like an investment. Most people that are sad, depressed, if you check, their lifestyles are not in order. If you follow all the 6 headings, from the nutrition to exercise to tobacco and alcohol consumption to stress management to proper sleeping and having healthy relationships, if these lifestyles, if they are well balanced, I can assure you won't have people committing suicide. So like the toll on the body, the list is endless.
In general, as rational human beings, you are responsible for the consequences of your actions and inactions. Why won't you choose to live a healthy lifestyle that will not predispose you to fatal consequences in life? The choice is yours.
Nigeria, a nation nation of great people, different tribes and languages, yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient people. In our history as a nation, there have been many storms, but just like the eagle, we always soar very high above the storms. Together, as a nation, we stood against Ebola virus disease in 2014, and we conquered. Together as a nation, we shall stand against COVID-19, and we shall surely triumph. Let's do our part as citizens, obey the health authorities, stay at home, practice social distancing and proper hygiene. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we shall dance again at the Calabar Carnival, the Eyo Festival, Celebration, Ojudeoba Festival, and Aragongo Festival. When this is over, and very soon it will, we shall flock the beaches again. We shall attend our music concerts again. We shall invite the world once again at the Lagos City Marathon. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we can return to our hustle and bustle. We will gather at our churches and mosques. We shall return to our schools and institutions. Our hope is alive. We are Nigeria, and together we shall rise again. Nigeria Film Corporation, powering possibilities.